All right. Good morning, folks. So, May 4th, 2023, we're going to get right on into it. This is a controlled demolition continuing. You guys already know the deal. That's being kind of overused. I get it, but it perfectly explains what's taking place. So, I'm going to show you guys quick update here today. But just remember, this is all done by design. And the reason why is because this consolidates all of the banking system, basically nationalizing the banking system in a private-public partnership between J.P. Morgan and the United States government, Federal Reserve, FDIC, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, and the whole cabal. Right. So basically, J.P. Morgan is getting to consolidate, and the bigger banks are getting to consolidate the smaller ones. The middle class and poor are getting sacrificed as well in this. But inflation is coming down, even though we know their CPI lie is all part of the manipulated data that we get from our government. They're finally starting to admit that the system's starting to break. This is kind of bad. But, we just had basically the biggest bank failure, the biggest banking crisis has been achieved when you look at the assets versus the amount of banks. We haven't reached as many banks as collapsed during 2008, but as far as assets on their balance sheet, deposits, how much these banks were worth, we've already surpassed the '08 financial crisis. So this thing's just getting started, but we have to look through that lens of this is a controlled demolition, because then it starts to make sense. It's not a crazy conspiracy theory, folks. This started over 100 plus years ago on a private island called Jekyll Island when they birthed the Federal Reserve System. 100 plus years later, we've destroyed almost 100% of the value of our currency. And now you're starting to see they're breaking the existing one, and they're fighting over power of the new one. The old guard trying to stay alive. Some of them are getting taken out. As I'm about to show you guys, Jamie Dimon is about to have to testify and take the stand in a very important case. So we have a lot of truth getting exposed. These guys, obviously, the whole system exposed, but the smaller regional banks can't make it. The smaller businesses on Main Street aren't going to be able to make it. But that's all part of the sacrifice that I'm talking about. It's a controlled demolition, so those at the top, those of the old guard, can try to consolidate and maintain the power, because we're starting to spread out and equalize, level that playing field through decentralized technology like blockchain. But when we look through, this whole situation with that lens, that this is a controlled demolition, that Fed Chair Powell isn't our friend. He wants to bring pain, or he doesn't care, because they're not stupid. We know that. But without further ado, let's get right on into it, folks. So we saw the crypto market's been kind of moving back and forth, a little bit of volatility yesterday. The Fed raised interest rates another 25 basis points, bringing more pain. 28,781 is where we're at, about 7 a.m. on the West Coast here. 1886 for your Ethereum and 45 cents for the XRP. Now, yesterday we did crash. Let's look at the sticks here briefly. We did crash. You guys see this back down to 27.6 yesterday. Now we were back up this morning, 29.3. Now we're trading at 28.7. So we're going to watch this one closely. You guys see where I'm at on my charts, what I'm looking for next here, this window of opportunity. We've already traded this thing twice. First one, 23% profit. Next one, 25% profit. Thank you for playing. That was fun. But this is not over, and I'm looking actually at making my next entry. And if you guys want access to the trades that I'm making, the moves that I'm making, and the most transparent effort, I share all that with my Discord community. We have our trading channel, and that's where I share my trades in real time. Not a signals group, not a trading group, no course. But if you do want to support the cause, which, quick point on that, folks, if we want to beat the mainstream media, if we want to get anywhere with this, we're going to have to fund our programs, our contributors, our sources here. So whether you're supporting me or your other favorite YouTuber or any other platform out here, independent media is how we have to win, right? We have to decentralize media. We have to decentralize our currency. And I hope to God someday we can decentralize and confirm our voting on blockchain as well. But I digress. But here, folks, whether you want to be a $5 Patreon supporter for $5.89, you can be a supporter on my Patreon. You don't get access to the Discord, but it's a support role. We do appreciate that. Or whether you want to join the Discord group where you're going to be able to extract a lot of value and join a community of like-minded individuals, I encourage us to support not just Netflix, not just Hulu, but support your favorite YouTuber, support your favorite independent media, because this is how we win. We need resources so that we can launch counter offenses against this old guard, this and the media machine, the mouth that they use of the bankers that have controlled this whole thing. Now, let's get right into it, guys. Current events, cryptocurrency, and the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. Kobesi letter. Current situation. Interest rates are at their highest since 2006. Credit card debt set to cross $1 trillion for the first time. Multiple regional banks on the brink of collapse. Regulators believe that the, quote, system is strong, and we are 1 month away from U.S. default. How can this end well? Now, yesterday in his speech, Jerome Powell said and reiterated many times that the system is strong. The system is resilient, right? But he did say that, the Fed is not going to be able to save the day if we default. So he's once again already putting the pressure on. We can't let this happen. America has to pay their bills. And Kobesi letter says, not to mention, we have the biggest attack on the U.S. dollar in decades. It seems that 2+ years of 5% plus inflation and the banking crisis have left people challenging the system. Something needs to change, and it's happening. And it's an accelerated pace, and it's moving rather quickly. Now, like I said, the small regional banks are getting sacrificed. This is all part of the planned, controlled demolition. Regional bank stocks are crashing after hours as PacWest says they are looking for a buyer. So another one going down 57% after hours yesterday. Western Alliance Bank, 30%. Metropolitan Bank, 20%. 2 hours ago, the Fed said the system is strong. This crisis could have been contained in a matter of days. However, regulators' response has been scattered and inconsistent. Now there are many regional banks under pressure, potentially hundreds. We are tracking this crisis real time. I would say that the crisis could have, it can be contained by throwing on a Band-Aid, but the Band-Aid just has to get bigger every time. The wound is fatal. The patient is going to die, right? But we can keep on slapping on a new Band-Aid. We can numb the pain. We can do a couple things here, but the crisis is only temporarily being contained. Structurally, at the fundamental level, why are all these countries leaving partnerships, trade deals with the United States dollar? Why are they stacking gold? Why are they backing their currency by gold? Why are they issuing digital currencies that are backed by gold? Why are states like Texas looking to join BRICS and, flirting with the idea? It's kind of a political play. I get that. But it's not a political play for 19 plus countries that just formally decided to join BRICS, along with all of the other 100 countries that are informally working along with BRICS and others. And even if they're not with BRICS, they're against the dollar. So that they have in common. Now, continuing on, Charles Gasparino with the scoop. Senior banking execs tell Fox Business that they believe Secretary Yellen and FDIC are moving toward either an explicit or de facto guarantee of deposits above 250,000 limit to stem the regional banking crisis, now threatening a new set of mid-sized institutions developing. So they want to do the full backstop, the full bailout, even above the $250,000 limit. And like I said, what does this do? This allows the small regional banks to collapse. JP Morgan and the big boys get to come in and buy up these assets on the cheap, pennies on the dollar. And they obviously are consolidating the whole system under their control. They're actually reaching levels to where the deals can't go through because they're going to have too high a level of deposits. So there's actually rules in place to not have monopolies in our banking system, but JP Morgan coming up on that level, I'm sure they'll rewrite the rules so that JP Morgan's allowed to consolidate and eat up more of their competition. But this is the problem, is that every time our system breaks is we come in and we say, no, everybody gets a participation trophy. Everybody's a winner. Don't worry. Instead of sticking to the rules where if a bank was way over leveraged, not being responsible, and it's not there. I mean, this is the thing about the whole system, is it's not there. That's the fractional reserve banking system in a nutshell. It's not there. They have to create it, digits on the screen when they issue debt. And that's how currency is really injected into the system, which is interesting to note on that point, on that part of the money supply, is that's fallen off. That's fallen off. And that's why pain to Main Street is already here, and it's going to be worse. Now, so this summarizes it right here. Balaji, the guy who, said that Bitcoin was going to go to 1 million by now, I think, or here soon. So I don't know what the bet is, what he has to do. But, this is the Bitcoin Balaji who thinks that we're going to 1 million. But he explained it well in this tweet. He says, first JP Morgan coin, then CBDC. Whether it's intentional or emergent, this is indeed what's happening, a backdoor nationalization of the banking system. And that's what I want to highlight. That's what this is. That's why it's a controlled demolition, all done by design. How do we take care of our buddies and friends? Well, we sacrifice the small regional banks. A backdoor nationalization of the banking system with a full backstop. After they let some of these banks fail, that's when they're going to come in. See, JP Morgan's probably telling them right now, hey, we're not done with the consolidations, with the acquisitions. Continue applying pressure, please, right? Blue Tribe is killing Gray Tribe banks, Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic, and Red Tribe banks, regionals, to consolidate all the assets at the too big to fail banks, the systemically important ones like JP Morgan. Then, or this is JP Morgan Chase. Then they roll out FedNow. Even if it's not a CBDC, it's central bank digital control with every transaction choke pointed through them. I argue once again that they already have control, they already have surveillance, they're already watching everything, and they already can shut you down through the digital payment systems that are already in play. They don't even need to issue the CBDC, but the CBDC FUD narrative does kind of sell, so a lot of people are pushing that. But he says first JP Morgan coin, then CBDC. We know all roads lead to them trying to consolidate this into central bank digital currencies, right? But we make the case, one, that the Federal Reserve has never actually truly been audited. It's not constitutional. And so we're going to fight like hell here in the United States to resist that and actually bring the power back into the Treasury, bring the power back away from a private central bank that is not representative of the people of America, right? So with that being said, folks, this is what gets interesting as we see all truth getting revealed. That's not just a statement. That's not just a meme. It's not just a slogan that I'm going to put on a shirt. New merch on the way, by the way. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon has been ordered to be deposed on May 26th and 27th related to the bank's relationship with, I don't say his name, a complaint filed in New York alleged bank execs knew about the abuse and everything that was going on in regards to that evil man. Folks, it's happening rather quickly. So I think maybe we should let Jamie take the stand. Maybe we should figure out what happened here before we allow JP Morgan to continue the consolidation. Back to the previous point about first it's JPM coin, then it's CBDC. We've been talking about how this whole thing is JP Morgan versus Ripple. Ripple, met 15 executives from JP Morgan came to the office there and, met with Ripple, tried to do a deal. We don't know what happened in that meeting, what happened in those conversations, but we do know after that JP Morgan tried to launch their own coin. Their own project was a failure. It continues to be a failure, and they continue to try to come up with new, competition for XRP, but they fail. The most recent one was Unicoin, complete flop, borderline scam, nothing really there. A group that's rather meaningless put out that Unicoin. But with that being said, what do they have? They do have the government in their pocket. And so that's why you have Ripple versus SEC and the reality that we're now in. But there is a silver lining here, folks. What this has done is this has given us time to acquire the suppressed assets before the new system reset, restructure, and revalues everything against commodities and assets of real value. That is why you're seeing news like this. Yesterday, all-time high for gold was $2,075 per ounce in August 2020. Gold is now within 1.2% of that level. Americans don't care much, but central banks and hedge fund shorts do. Thursday will be interesting. This is from Jim Records. Huge shout out to Jim. And you guys know they've been using the derivatives, the paper shorts, to suppress the metals. They've been using the SEC lawsuit to suppress XRP, right? And this is all go back. JP Morgan's been exposed, rigging the precious metals market multiple times. Now, we go to a flashback here for Digital Asset Investor shares this. These are old tweets from Jim Records. Now, check this out, folks. This is very, very interesting. So this is back in the day, someone was asking Jim about basically XRP, Ripple, IMF. And this guy says, thanks for the reply, Jim. The company Ripple is working with 40 plus central banks and they are on an IMF task force. So people are saying the digital asset will be XRP that Ripple uses that will be coupled with the SDR for global liquidity. What are your thoughts on this? Jim says people are saying is not my idea of a reliable source. That said, even the IMF needs developers, and I'm sure Ripple has some good ones. That doesn't mean XRP will be a reserve asset. More likely, it's an ESDR. So there you go. Jim talking about that. And then in the next post here, he says, hello, Jim. Christine Lagarde of the IMF said she can see a digital asset coupled with the SDR in the future. Where is your opinion on that happening? And he says it will happen, but it will be controlled by the IMF, not a bunch of freelance devs. And so I guess I read this in reverse order. That's when he responded with, thanks for that. They're working with Ripple. And then he says that doesn't mean XRP will be a reserve asset. More likely, it's an ESDR. So you guys have heard Jim Records. I listen to everything that Jim Records puts out. He's one of the best. And I highly recommend all of his books. So Jim Rickards is someone who's been at the CIA, Pentagon, all these intelligence agencies where they've war gamed, they've ran simulations, currency wars, and all this. He's been part of that. They called Jim in to handle the collapse. I forget the name of the bank back in the previous crisis that he helped facilitate that. I mean, Jim's been here for decades, and there's a reason why the government and the banks call him in when the crisis is here. And so Jim Rickards talking about this, he's well aware that their plan is to issue or use distributed ledger technology, and he's talked about that in a major way, but he's one of those guys that is talking about the blockchain tech, and he kind of downplays Bitcoin, which I do too. I don't think that it has utility. And I don't think that, it's relevant technology over the next 10, 20 years. I think that it has already been outdone by other technology that's more efficient, more scalable. I understand the narrative of why the Bitcoin maxis push it. That's fine. I have nothing against that. That's fine. Have fun. Good luck. God bless. I hope it works out. But for me, I only stack things with utility. So that's why I have my silver right here. And then that's why I've been stacking up XRP, XLM, XDC, Algorand. Gary Gensler and the SEC, they just claimed that Algorand's a security. I bought it that day on that dip. I said, thank you very much. I'll take that. And so I've just been, stacking utility, cryptocurrencies, and precious metals. Because to me, the writing's on the wall. There's only a few ways, a few assets that they can actually use to reset, restructure, and level the playing field. That's going to be gold, silver, XRP, maybe a couple other cryptos, definitely not Bitcoin, right? And I think that what you're seeing right here, folks, is that this controlled demolition is continuing, but we have a very, very strong case here in the United States. We are putting up a very, very strong legal and constitutional battle against these powers that be. And even if the IMF is going to issue this or adopt XRP as the ESDR, we can just run with that, right? We have positioned ourselves accordingly. If they don't, I still believe that XRP is going to be a fundamental part of the new internet of value that's getting created out and exponentially growing. Okay, now in regards to precious metals, we already know. And so we have two data points, and I keep on bringing it back to this. The central banks are buying more gold than they have in 50 plus years. Got it. More central banks are meeting with Ripple than any other cryptocurrency company in the space, by far, not even close. So those are the two data points that I'm running with. You can connect the dots and invest accordingly after that, after your speculation, after you go down that. But that's two undeniable facts that nobody can question me. No one's came at me and said they have a different story. It's consensus that they're buying more gold than they have in 50 plus years. And every time I bring up the fact that there's no other cryptocurrency company that is even close to meeting with as many central banks as Ripple and doing deals and having central bank digital currencies and having national stable coins built on the XRP ledger like Bank of Plow. So it's happening. It's undeniable. How far is it going to go? Is the IMF going to, establish XRP as the ESDR? I don't know. But either way, we're positioned. What are going to be the reserves? Gold, silver, XRP. Some people say Bitcoin. That's fine. Hope it works out. But when I talk about the legal political battle, that's why I'm so excited to see John Deaton. I think Jeremy Hogan's going to be in Vegas too. Some of the lawyers that have been fighting the good fight, Jimmy Valley. And we have Stuart Alderati, Paul Garral meeting here. This is what I'm talking about, folks. When you have the alliances now forming of those guys that are trying to level the playing field, trying to bring about a new financial system that is inclusive to everyone, allows us to invest in digital assets while Elizabeth Warren wants to ban cryptos. These guys are meeting, and I know a lot of people in the XRP community not a fan of Coinbase. I'm not particularly a big fan of Coinbase either. But what I am a fan of is the lawyers who are putting up a fight in the legal battlefield against the SEC. So Paul Garral, he's the chief general counsel for Coinbase, meeting with Stuart Alderati, who is general counsel for Ripple. And Paul says, thanks for having me over, Stuart. We need to do this more often. And so there you have it, folks. Look at the smiles on their face, looking like they're ready to do it. And what's interesting is we come up here, we see Coinbase getting theirs Wells notice. We see the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit coming to a conclusion. And we see the U.S. SEC was about to give us some sort of clarity, some sort of definition of digital assets. And the most recent proposal that they've put forward here for disclosures for hedge funds and private equity, They were about to define digital assets, but now they've pulled it back. So check this out here, folks, from CoinDesk. US SEC changes its mind on officially labeling digital assets. The Securities and Exchange Commission was about to define digital asset, but deleted it in the final version of a rule, reversing a move that might have started formalizing crypto's role. The U.S. Securities Exchange Commission took one small step backwards in regulating the crypto sector on Wednesday when it erased what would have been its first formal definition of a digital asset from its latest hedge fund rule. While the SEC had initially included the definition in its 2022 proposal to overall mandatory disclosures for hedge funds, the securities regulator yanked it in the final rule approved by the commissioners. The agency included a footnote to explain itself. The commission and staff are continuing to consider this term and are not adopting digital assets as part of this rule at this time. See, this is a complete failure, and this is why people need to be fired. Agency needs to be shrunk, probably by 90% plus. Maybe it shouldn't even be in existence. The agency is certainly continuing to consider crypto matters, which have taken an outsized role in both in its enforcement action and its ongoing rule proposals. Despite its decision to walk this one back, last month the regulator did virtually the opposite by reopening a previously proposed rule, redefining the term exchange and explicitly adding DeFi to it. That revision, which drew sharp criticism from the industry and from 2 of the 5 SEC commissioners, is one of several more recent policy moves meant to clearly ensnare crypto into existing rules. The SEC also made another proposal in February that could bar investment advisors from keeping assets at crypto firms. So you're seeing, they're stalling. The SEC is stalling, dragging their feet. Congress is doing their DC dance. So maybe by 2025, we might have regulations passed here in the United States, right? And what's taking place in the meantime? Federal Reserve Jerome Powell raised by another 25 basis points. And even if Jerome Powell just leaves rates at these levels, he doesn't have to pivot and reverse course. If he just leaves rates at these levels, we're done. We're done. You're seeing commercial property 50, 60, 70, 80% sale. You're seeing vacancies in some cities of office space up 30+%. Over 1.5 trillion of commercial debt to be redone by 2025. Everything has to be reset, restructured, and revalued. Even currencies are failing. And would they come out here and give us regulations for digital currencies that are part of resetting the system that could actually facilitate and transact and make markets more efficient? No, of course not. Of course not. And so this is a complete failure from the top down, but it's all done by design. So when you look at it, controlled demolition, when you look at it through that lens, it starts to make sense. They're not that stupid. Good guy Gary Gensler, teaching at MIT. These guys aren't that stupid. You know, I think they lack common sense in some regards, and I think they lack, I'm not going to say the word, but they lack, getting anything done, and holding accountability is obviously something that is lacked, and it's up to us to continue applying pressure. So I'm going to do that with my platform. I'm going to bring on, and I can't wait to meet some of these lawyers that have been leading the fight here in Vegas. But this is so important, guys. What can we do? We can vote with our money. And then we can vote with, supporting independent media groups like this one. So like I said, get out and support your favorite YouTuber. Support an independent media company that's going to be exposing this further and providing value to you. What I try to do is I try to explain this in a way so that we can understand it, but then how do we prepare? And you guys already know that deal. Let me give you guys the quick rundown. I focus 90% of my time on my businesses. I run an old world business, property service business that I've had for 8+ years, new world business. This is a media group. So I have 2 businesses. Two streams of cash flow. Okay. I spend 90% of my time making sure that cash flow is increasing, making sure that cash flow is growing, continuing to add team members, continuing to build out assets, continuing to build out products, bringing value. 90% of my time's on that. With the extra money that we have, okay, let's go be an investor, right? What are we going to do? Right now I have cash on the sidelines for real estate. Got it. The other thing that I'm doing is this is a conservative insurance hedge. This is what this is. Gains are going to be sick. Gold back to all-time high. Fantastic. Love it. What do I love most about this? Offline assets. Don't need to worry about the internet being on. Don't need to worry about my bank app working. This is real value. It's a suppressed asset, and it's starting to break out. What else do we do? Cryptocurrencies. XRP, XLM, XDC. I'm not here to give you financial advice, but it's very clear to me. Utility will reign king in the new financial system. Commodities, huge part of that. Fiat, funny money on its way out, being completely exposed. And as the system goes down, just remember that they're prepared to sacrifice you guys. They're not stupid. This is a controlled demolition, all done by design, and it is continuing. We're not done. We're nowhere even close to being done. Okay? And so at this point, I just want our community to remain positive, remain strong, continue taking action. Like I said, number one, bring in the income, focus on our business. Number two, with what we have to invest, maybe start with your defensive, conservative play. Precious metals is it for me. Then we go on offense. Where's the opportunity at? Cryptocurrency, real estate, cash on the sidelines to buy my first property. After that, prepping and essentials. Can we feed the family? Can we keep the lights turned on when the system's down, the grid's off? That sounds crazy, right? It was all crazy until we got into the simulations of the last few years. And now it's becoming more mainstream, more popular. And I'll tell you what I do is I've been talking with wifey. We're about to go start supporting the local farmers markets. I've already started my garden. I got my little seeds planted. And so I just keep on planting seeds, right? Keep on building value. And I give myself options. And then we continue to dissect and decode. And you guys have seen the trading that I've done recently, 23% profit and 25% profit on the two most recent trades there. And so nearly 50% profit just within the last week during a bear market. I've lost track. I got to go back and look at my record right now. I think it's 11 for 12. Knock on wood. Don't want to be cocky. I'm not trying to break here. I'm just saying this is what I've been doing during the bear market. I've been head down, focused, pedal to the metal, and growing my businesses, stacking the assets that we believe in. And then I've been trading Bitcoin, and I've gone on like 12 for 13, maybe 11 for 12, 12 for 13. I've only missed once. Since August of last year, I've only missed once. And my gains, I've also lost track of. It's over 160% plus during a bear market. How is that possible? Without a trading course? With only the moon phase indicator? I know it's a little crazy, isn't it? But folks, thank you everyone for joining me this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure to break this down. Crazy busy week here getting ready for Vegas, but I'm trying to pump out as much as I can for you guys. So if you appreciate the content, if you're excited to see these suppressed assets start to fly, because it's coming here soon, if we can survive the sacrifice, we can survive the rocket ship to the moon with our suppressed assets taking off back to all-time high for gold here, close. XRP, you already know where we're at with that. Silver also getting interesting as well. And so I'm very excited. I want our community to stay together, stay strong. If you appreciate this content, let's smash the thumbs up on the way out. Make sure you hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one. Everything's at my website, ZachRector.com. God bless.